Frozen 3 is coming out soon, and considering how interesting the previous sequel was, I have no faith in this new film. That's why I'm taking matters into my own hands. Am I a screenwriter? No. Am I a director? Also no. Do I have cool ideas and a lot of free time on my hands? Yes, I do. You read the title, you know what's going on here. I'm making a Frozen 3 story concept that can pick up the pieces that Frozen 2 left and has an interesting plot, an actual villain, character arcs, and a theme that connects everything together. This is my hypothetical pitch for the third installment. Here's the goal. I want this plot to improve the story's direction without retconning the second film. So any plot point or character behavior that I'm not a fan of, it can't just be tossed away. Instead, I need to somehow incorporate it into the plot in a way that makes sense. So did I enjoy Kristoff's arc in the second film where instead of paying attention to the problem at hand, he fumbles trying to figure out how to propose to Anna? No. But unfortunately, I can't erase that it happened and that it had a hand in developing his character. I can't erase the past, I can just move forward and make the weird character choices in Frozen 2 make sense. The theme is the foundation of the story. That's why I think it's a great starting point to figuring out this concept. In Frozen 1, the theme is of course love, Anna sacrificing herself, Elsa learning to control her powers with love. The thing is though, in Frozen 2, the theme isn't as clear. There are a bunch of minor themes of self-discovery and shame, but there isn't one major theme that impacts every major character. In theory, yes, it's good that everyone has their own separate things going for them, but there should still be something that connects them all together. To figure out what the theme for this sequel will be, let's see where Frozen 2 left us off. Anna has become Queen of Arendelle. Elsa is now the fifth spirit, whatever that means. And Kristoff, he's gonna get married to Anna, so he's gonna end up becoming the prince consort. What do all of these plot points have in common? It is setting up new responsibilities that these characters will have to face. So that's it. Responsibility. That's the theme. How will these characters balance their responsibilities as well as their relationships? How is that going to affect them? I think that's what Frozen 2 is really setting up for this third film. I imagine the story starting with the characters being excited, maybe a little bit nervous, but overall, they're ready to take on these new responsibilities. Their self-doubt continues to grow as the story progresses, and they start second-guessing their capabilities. And then the story ends with them realizing that they are made for this role. Now, that's how I imagine their internal struggles, but what about the external problems that cause these doubts to manifest? Modern Disney has deprived us of good villains. There are either no antagonists, or the villain is just really, really boring. A good villain is someone who actually poses a threat, has a logical reason for why they're doing what they're doing. It doesn't have to justify it, but there should still be a reason, for the most part. Some characters can get away with just being evil for the sake of being evil, but overall, having an actual reason, it helps flesh out the character. So I have taken it upon myself to create a new character for this concept that can fill the role of the villain. Because in Frozen 1, it made sense why there wasn't a major villain. Yeah, technically it was Hans, but really it was Elsa trying to, deal with herself. She was her own problem. But in Frozen 2, the spirits were kind of seemed like the threat of the film, but in reality, they really weren't much of a threat. Elsa was able to take them on very quickly. So it's about time we have an actual villain. So meet Runa. She is a magical force spirit with the power to manipulate the world around, making illusions and visions that seem real but actually aren't. And she can create shadow magic projection. Her role in the story is not only to be a villain, but also to better explain the magic system. Specifically, this idea of the fifth spirit. Yes, there is an explanation on what the fifth spirit is in Frozen 2, like that was the whole point of the film. But I don't know, I feel like there's some things that don't make sense. Like, okay, her mom did something kind once and now she's the fifth spirit. Like, have the spirits never seen anyone do an act of kindness ever? They just came up with the concept of the fifth spirit after, I'm assuming, they've been around for as long as the world's been around because they're elements. Like, I feel like the whole fifth spirit thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, like I mentioned, Runa, she's a spirit, but isn't there only supposed to be 5? Yes, there is. Runa was a previous fifth spirit. Runa's job, like Elsa's, was to protect the forest. But after she let humans into the forest, it led them to taking advantage of its resources. Now, this isn't North Uldra, by the way, because North Uldra have been around. So these are like new humans that decide to settle it. And Runa went haywire as a result. Instead of being like a mediator or, you know, just trying to like let these people know like, hey, you can't do that, she villainizes the entire human race. And as a result, she causes chaos and war. The spirits were not happy, so essentially they decide to just kick her out. But Runa never left. She just kind of roamed around in the forest, and she learned to somewhat be content with that, until she finds out that the spirits replaced her with a human. The very species that caused all of that mess all those years ago in the first place. And oh boy, did that piss her off. I don't know about you, but a creature who got fired and is now making it everybody else's problem, that's a pretty fun character. The story opens back up a question that was posed in the second film. Why Elsa? But this time it isn't being questioned because she's Arendelian, but because she's human. In an actual movie, the audience wouldn't know all of this about Runa right when you meet her. Instead, as the story progresses, they would get bits and pieces of the story, and eventually everything will click. I don't know how I forgot to mention this, but a big reason why I chose, like, for Runa to not have the same powers as Elsa, it's very deliberate. I really wanted to make it a point that the fifth spirit isn't like an element, because I feel like it was a little bit ambiguous with Frozen 2, where like the other spirits all represent different elements, and then there's Elsa, who's just frozen water. I thought that was a little silly. By having Runa here, it's basically showing that it's just a matter of like having magical abilities. It's not like an elemental sort of thing, because again, it's frozen water. Anyways, okay, carry on. Now imagine this. Day before Kristoff and Anna's wedding. Opening number. Practically the opposite of Some Things Never Change. Everyone is excited for, you know, this next chapter until they go to sleep. Because they're not dreaming of sunshines and rainbows. No, no, no. Kristoff, Anna, and Elsa's dreams are all in a black void, with a distorted voice speaking to them from afar. They can't see where it's really coming from. In Kristoff's dream, the voice tells him that his life will be filled with misery. The voice explains that deep down, you will always just be an ice supplier, that he isn't cut out for this life, and everybody knows it, even Anna. In Anna's dream, the voice says that she will lose faith in the very thing that pushed her forward. The voice explains that even as queen, you will have no power. Her sister will always be the dictator of her fate. In Elsa's dream, the voice says that she will make the very same mistake as the one before her, and it will come with a great. And as these dreams are happening, you kind of see glimpses of the future that this voice is talking about. With Elsa's in particular, I imagine her seeing Arendelian soldiers in the forest, chopping trees down, taking the natural resources, and then it just cutting to the wasteland that they left behind. Now, if you've been listening, Runa can create illusions. So this is, of course, her doing. not some real prophecy. But why is she doing this? As I've already mentioned, Runa is very mad that a human took her spot. So what is she gonna do? Figure out how to ruin her, of course. Why is everything so bright? Anywho, showing her old bosses that her replacement sucks because she's petty like that. So here's her game plan. First, before she ever meets them, she's gonna make them paranoid. She's been watching them. She's well aware of who they are at this point, and she uses that to her advantage in these dreams. Now, they won't just immediately turn on each other because of a bad dream, but it plants a seed nonetheless. Next, intimidation, making her feel like she's not capable of protecting Arendelle or the forest. I imagine her doing this with their first introduction. Maybe it's like the day of Anna's wedding and Runa just like goes and attacks her. Elsa would of course sweep to the rescue, but for once, she's gonna realize that she's not the strongest in the room. Then finally, more paranoia. Now imagine this, after their initial altercation, finding Elsa and apologizing, saying that she had a vision of Anna doing something horrible, and that she felt like it was her job, her responsibility. She didn't want what occurred to the last spirit to happen to Elsa. This scene would be some crazy manipulation stuff without even her having to use her powers. Because one, maybe at first Elsa doesn't really buy into these dreams, but after Runa brings up how she had her own visions about Anna, that's gonna stress her out. Because remember, in the vision, it was Arendellian soldiers cutting down the forest. Who's the Queen of Arendelle? And then also the subtle mention at a previous fifth spirit, that would obviously make Elsa very, very confused. Like, why wouldn't the other spirits tell her that there was someone before her and something happened to her? Like, what's going on? From this brief exchange between these two characters, Elsa gathers that there was a fifth spirit, a grave mistake was made that Runa was somehow involved in, and she wants to redeem herself. As she failed to help the previous fifth spirit, maybe she can help Elsa. This is obviously gonna stress Elsa out a lot. Hearing that there was a fifth spirit and somehow they did something to mess things up, she's gonna desperately try to figure out how to not end up with the same fate. Especially because of the dream, you will make the same mistake as the one before you. So yes, Elsa does not like Runa at all for, attacking her sister, but she has information, and so let me just use her and get rid of her later. So she lets Runa kind of act as her guide throughout the story. And as, the movie progresses, Runa drops tidbits about what went wrong before. How the fifth spirit was too trusting of humans. How they began destroying the forest because they valued their own convenience even more. Which, like, low-key fact, she's onto something, okay? Like, she's not entirely wrong. She essentially needs to be the Lorax. That's what she's got to do. Now, while this is all happening, Anna is becoming example A of humans not really thinking about the environment, as she is approving plans for this new invention that can transport things quickly despite their bad terrain. It's a railway. This new invention is a railway. But they aren't going to call it that because I think it's more fun if they're just like, ooh, a new contraption, a new invention. I think it would be a cool bonus if Runa was somehow involved in the whole figuring out the railway system. Like, maybe she, creates a dream for, some inventor, some Arendellian inventor related to the railway and how to make the railway. And this inventor is like, whoa, I just had an epiphany. And so that's why the railway was made, because this is where tensions would rise. Anna doesn't like how Elsa's buddied up with the girl that attacked her, and Elsa isn't happy about the whole rail system idea because they're gonna have to take down resources to make it happen, and the railway will actively destroy the environment as it's being used. They aren't the only ones that are upset. Contrasting Kristoff's optimistic nature at the beginning of the story, he has been miserable. Showcased through a montage of Kristoff doing his daily tasks as the prince consort, we see him stuck in boring meetings. We see him making speeches to large crowds and messing it up. Maybe like Olaf mixes up the cue cards or something, and then Kristoff just makes a fool of himself. We see him do all of these prince consort tasks with, clothing that obviously isn't very comfortable for him. We only see him really happy when he's around Anna, which isn't often. She's busy after all, she's the queen. But even when she's with him, her mind is always somewhere else. Whether she was thinking about Elsa, Runa, or of course Arendelle, she never seems to pay attention to him. She doesn't see how much he's been struggling. So now that the gang are all miserable, all thanks to Runa kind of putting these seeds from the beginning, Runa can finally do what she's been planning to do since the beginning. What she's been setting up this entire time. Fake illusions to make people go to war. Runa makes illusions to make Northuldra think that Arendellians went into the Enchanted Forest and took resources. Obviously, they all knew about the whole transport invention that they were going to do, but the Enchanted Forest was not an option for them. It was off limits. But in reality, it wasn't Arendelle, it was Runa. I imagine her framing them by literally conjuring up Arendellian soldiers at the scene of the crime, or even having Anna there to really put the nail in the coffin. To make things even worse, Runa creates illusions to convince Arendelle that Northuldra stole the resources they actually had for the railway, when in reality it was Runa. So now the two parties, who have already had a history of being very not happy with each other, are really, really not happy with each other. To the point where people are now convinced that they should go to war. Anna and Elsa don't, but still, they're very mad. And regardless of their opinions about, going to war over this, people are still riled up. People are ready to do it. Throughout the story, I think it would be fun if the other spirits kind of have their own side mission. They wouldn't be on talking terms with Elsa. Because Elsa, obviously, she wasn't told about the fifth spirit. I feel like she would kind of start to resent the spirits for not giving her any information, for kind of leaving her in the dark. So they're on their own. Eventually, they figure out that Runa is playing both sides, and they let Elsa and Anna know. Now, they can't actually speak, so they can't really say all that, but I don't know, maybe they explain it in charades. I don't know. After Anna and Elsa realize that they've been played, they have their whole sister moment, they apologize. Then they go on to save the day. I think it'd be cool if Runa overhears all this and realizes that the jig is up. She's been playing at both sides, creating illusions, messing with people's heads, but they're about to explain all of that. So she decides, let me just pull off one more illusion stunt just so the war plans that the two parties are making can speed up. Making it look like Northuldra killed Anna and Arendelle killed Elsa. It's dark. The idea is kind of dark. Kristoff would go insane. But I think that's what makes it really good. And this is not foreign, okay? Fake deaths have happened. It happened in the second film. And now these two very angry groups of people don't have, anyone to stop them. So they're just gonna fight. And obviously they're more mad now because, now there's death involved. So time to battle it out. So while Elsa goes to fight Runa, Anna goes to stop a war. And having to calm down two very, very angry people, or groups of people, that's no easy task. So essentially this whole scene, I imagine her literally going in the middle of a battlefield and breaking people apart, having a whole speech about unity, all of that. It demonstrates her capabilities as a ruler. Meanwhile, Elsa and Runa, they have their epic fight. Forgot to mention, when the spirits have their whole thing, they do explain to Elsa finally that, oh, she's a previous fifth spirit. Again, this isn't charades. Or Runa explains it during their fight. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Eventually, Elsa catches up and realizes what Runa actually is. I mean, like, it could be like a Darth Vader moment where, like, Elsa's like, I know that you're the one that killed the fifth spirit. And then Runa's like, I didn't kill her. I am her. You know? Like, that'd be pretty fun. But anywho, you know, as the fight goes on, Elsa asks Runa why she's back. Why now? And Runa says, she explains that she would have been fine, and she knew that they would have found some other magical being to take her place. By gifting a human magic, the very species that caused all this mess in the first place, she won't. As she overpowers Elsa, you know, she continues and she has this whole monologue. You human, you don't deserve to be the fifth spirit. You are weak and emotional and greedy. And then it seems like Elsa's about to give up all hope. But of course it's Disney, so she has that like epiphany moment. She says, no, the spirits chose me. This is Moana. This sounds like Moana. It's okay. They chose a human, so I can act as a bridge. Going back to Frozen 2, the whole bridge concept. Call back. Because I don't pretend to be perfect. You spend all those years coping with your mistakes by just blaming, but you were also at fault. And as she says all this, Runa's caught, and Elsa begins to do the whole overpowering shtick. And finally, at the very end, she says, your illusions can't hide reality. And she defeats Runa by throwing her off a cliff or something. I don't know, it doesn't really matter how she dies. She dies. And that's it. The cool transport invention does happen, but they compromise by having more regulations so that, you know, they're more conscious of the environment. Anna, obviously, like, she wasn't malicious with the whole railway thing, you know. She just wanted to help improve Arendelle, and she wasn't really thinking. It wasn't like, I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to make her some evil person, okay? Like, the whole transport idea, like, that helps Arendelle a lot. But now that they're gonna, like, properly communicate, there's gonna be more regulations in place. So that even with future projects, as, you know, Arendelle continues to progress, it won't heavily impact the environment. Anna and Kristoff apologize, you know, for their lack of communication, and then this is where Kristoff acknowledges how his priorities are not the best. He acknowledges his inability to read the room, because what do you mean you spent this entire movie stressed about, you know, your relationship and the fact that, oh, I have to go to meetings, oh, I have to do this, oh, I have to wear uncomfortable clothing. Again, this is just playing into the whole character that was in Frozen 2. I was just building off of that. Finally, now he acknowledges that he really needs to sort out his priorities. Character growth. And yeah, that's the end of the concept. I feel like overall that was pretty. It builds off of the magic system. It helps grow these characters so that they're more confident. It has, you know, an important theme. There's obviously, like, the whole environmental stuff as well. Overall, I think I did a good job. I think these ideas are pretty good. Now, Disney's not going to do this, obviously, and if they do, you're going to have to call me and pay me because, these are my ideas. I'm not working for free here, okay? But let's be realistic. Their movie's not going to be as good as this, okay? This is peak. It's not going to get better than that. Editor Sasha here, so I'm going to be very blunt with you. I did not look into the actual Frozen 3 announcement, like what was actually said in the announcement. Basically, they showed a bunch of different questions that they wanted to answer in Frozen 3 and Frozen 4, and one of those questions was about a previous fifth spirit. So, you know what? Maybe I should have given Frozen more credit. They actually are thinking more with this film, and I appreciate that. As much as I want to be like, oh, like, you know, kind of salty about the fact that, like, this idea that I had is already gonna happen, I appreciate it. Because at the end of the day, I do want Frozen 3 to turn out good. I love Frozen. Maybe they won't make the previous fifth spirit like a villain. Maybe, you know, this fifth spirit is dead or something. I don't know what they're planning on doing. But whatever the case, I can tell that they're taking more thought and consideration into this film. And I really like that. So, anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!